Broncos country, what is going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening, rebounding after that absolute heartbreak that we witnessed 48 hours ago against our arch rival Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, I took yesterday off, and we're late connecting with Jeremy and Mark from Marquee Sports here. We normally do it Sunday nights. Apologies, that's my fault, guys, but really looking forward to talking about, I think, a lot of the positives that came out of this game. Of course, we didn't get the dub, due to some mistakes, maybe from the coaching staff more so than the players. We'll get into that, but I think, I was leading with the title on the thumbnail saying playing with house money. And that's kind of how I feel right now with where the Broncos are at in the playoff picture, as well as what we've seen from our rookie class, notably led by Bo Nix. So I guess we can start this panel. Of course, you guys that are watching, be sure to smash that like, subscribe both to my channel, Marquee Sports, in the description, and join the conversation here in the comments. But let's open up with everybody's kind of first thoughts with the game, with the rookie class, all that. Take it in whatever direction you want. Mark, we'll start with you and then go to Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's nice to be here. Definitely a calmer mood now than it would have been, had we had the post game on Sunday like me and Jeremy did. I think that it just takes a little bit of reflecting. But overall, I think there's got to be a lot of positives that you take from the game. Being that they, in many instances, I think they played really well. All you can really ask for from any team, really, if they're rebuilding or not, is give yourself an opportunity to win it in the end, right? And we did exactly that. Fell short. I think several different reasons led up to that. But you gotta love the way. I love the way they rebounded. I love the way they fought. I like the energy, and they didn't look like they were intimidated or scared at all. So it was overall good, man. But this rookie class continues to impress more and more. Starting with the first pick, the main man, Bo Nix. I think he just took his game to another level with how he played in this game and the consistency he's been showing. But it was great to see Estime worked in, man. I love that. I think that Devon Vele is finally getting him and Devon Vele, I think, are both going to finally get their opportunities to really shine, really show what they can do. I thought, Vele looked great really all year, but he just hasn't had a lot of chances. So really happy he got rewarded. And then, we'll see if we can get more from, guys like Jonah Ellis and Troy Franklin, but they've certainly shown their flashes there as well. So a great young core that I'm very optimistic and looking forward to watching, into the future in the last 7 games.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't help but be encouraged by what you're seeing. We're 10 games in, and I'm 100%. I mean, we said this at the end of our conversation I had with Mark is I don't need to see anything else. There's nothing like the last thing I needed to see from Bo Nix was, can you drive down from behind in the fourth quarter on the road and put your team in position to win? And here's the thing. I was hearing tons of people commenting like, well, he didn't score a touchdown on that drive. It's like, you don't want to score a touchdown on that drive. You don't want to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes with 1 second left. You want to take it all the way down. That's exactly what he did, is a chip shot field goal. There's nothing else he could have done better than that. And that 3rd and 6, I watched the Tim Jenkins breakdown where he had the all 22 from behind. And that throw he made, 3rd and 6, to pretty much put the game on ice. I mean, he's stepping up in the pocket, running full speed with a guy in his face, throwing it kind of sidearm while hitting Cortland on this. And it's like that. There's nothing else. I mean, like, your guy's completely poised, doing it in the clutch. He's got the clutch gene. He's got leadership. I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about arm strength problems in weeks because that disappeared. I knew that would disappear. I mean, there's nothing else you need to see. Like, so as far as the season goes, it's a success because this was all about, do we have a franchise quarterback? In my opinion, I think those questions have long been answered. But the last thing I needed to see, we saw it. The other guys, Yeah, I mean, Joan Ellis had a huge knockdown on 3rd and 9
That's
there
right.
that was kept them from scoring points. That was huge. I mean, he continues to. He had that sack strip fumble that would have been a touchdown, that scoop and score that got taken away from him. Like, he's just scratching the surface. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg of Jonah Ellis. And yeah, Franklin's getting better. Excuse me. Vele is coming in his own. I think Vele, the more reps he gets, the better and better he's going to get. And we haven't even seen people like Chris Abrams drain. So like when Sean Payton told Greg Penner, I think a few years into this, we're going to look back at this rookie class and be like, wow, that was a monumental like class for our franchise. I totally get it. And it takes a lot of guts to say something like that, because like if it doesn't pan out, you look foolish for saying something like that. I mean, of course you're rookie. If you believe in your rookie quarterback, you're like that. I mean, anything past that, it's great. But like, I think there's a chance we have 4 or 5 guys on this rookie class that can just are, structure pieces for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. The poise that he had there on that 6-minute drive. Again, that's what just, it was just the gut punch, not being able to finish it with the field goal. But I think he had 2 third down conversion throws, maybe more, but the one to Cortland Sutton on that 3rd and 6, they're bringing pressure, right? And like you said, off platform, just a dart. You haven't seen those ducks be thrown, in quite a few weeks. And again, like you're seeing this on Twitter now with the like advanced stats regarding Bo Nix. With all these charts, if you're a charts guy, he's always in the right quadrant with all these charts I'm seeing on
Yeah.
Twitter, and like EPA and accuracy downfield. And I just think that right now this is what you want to see with him. I think getting better and better every week. And again, this is why fit is so important. Having an offensive-minded head coach is also important, because you've seen it with CJ Stroud this year. Sometimes I can't remember. Did their OC leave? No. I guess he's the same. But with the Bills, so to speak, you've had a lot of change with the OCs, and that can kind of stunt development and progression of an offense. You see Shane Waldron fired today from the Chicago Bears. A lot of these rookie quarterbacks have to overcome so much from a dysfunctional standpoint when these guys are drafted high overall. And Bo was thankfully, not in that department, along with, to some extent, the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels. It seems like they got much better ownership, obviously, than Dan Snyder. And even though Dan Quinn's a defensive guy, he's always picked his OCs very, very well, and you see him having success. But I think that going into Kansas City, the poise that Bo played with, turnover-free football, making money throws on 3rd down. Now, we didn't have a great percentage, I don't think, but the game came down to that 6-minute drive there in the 4th quarter. He did his job, and I think that is what I'm leaving with, is just a lot of confidence with him in those moments going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing real quick I would like to add to that. If you noticed, we didn't talk about it because I don't think I had seen it yet, but that little post-game chat that he had with Patrick Mahomes right after the game, like, you could see in Patrick Mahomes, like, there was nothing but respect, and he was just like, way to play your butt off, and look, we're going to have a lot of these. Here's the thing. We lost that game because special teams coaches weren't able to fix something that needed to be fixed. But Andy Reid knows, Kansas City Chiefs fans know, and the Kansas City Chiefs players know that they don't want to see us again. Like, that's a problem. We went into their place, and there's no more beginning of the season looking down the schedule and just putting W's next to the Denver Broncos when they're trying to figure out how their season's going to go. Every single time it's going to be a dogfight. And you could just tell there's a different level of like body language when somebody walks out on the end of the game and being like, oh man, keep leading them guys and whatever, and just kind of gives you a little tap. And then there's another one of like game respects game, you know what I mean? And you could just see it. And Sean Payton called it a gutsy performance. I think that's a great way to describe it, because it's not going to be easy. And the thing that drove me nuts pre-draft was everybody was like, oh, if Bo Nix even ends up being a good quarterback, he still has to deal with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert in the AFC West. You need a superstar. You can't just have a good quarterback. You need a great quarterback. Well, he just outdueled him as a rookie, and he didn't throw one to the other team like Patrick Mahomes did that to Zach Allen. Like, he was clean, and he didn't make big mistakes. So I think that narrative is shattered.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, even honestly, I would take the Chiefs core of weapons obviously over the Broncos right now, and you're right. I mean, but Bo did outplay him on Sunday. Mark, sorry, didn't want to get too sidetracked, but I know you had another thought that you wanted to share.
Oh no, I just wanted to add. I mean, I think even more importantly, I think now the Broncos don't have that intimidation factor against the Chiefs too, more than anything. I mean, I can assure you the Chiefs for sure, given their past and the back-to-back champions looking to three-peat, they were definitely never worried about us. I think we've kind of put them on notice, but I think it was always the flip side where, man, I know Broncos country, us as fans, and maybe even the players were like, shit, now we got to go play the Chiefs. Like, we're so outmanned, and they usually get the best of us, blah, blah, blah. But I think now there's a really good confidence factor. You look at even the last 3 games that they've played against them under Sean Payton. The first game, we ended up losing, but was super close on a short week in Kansas City. And then we ended up winning the second time around. And then this time was another, battle, another dogfight. So we've, I think getting over that mental hurdle is really big for the team too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's dive in a little bit with the rest of this rookie class. Audric Estime, man, what a nice surprise. I think, is it true that Javonte Williams only got 1 carry on Sunday? The dude had juice. What did you guys think of his performance, how he looked?
Yeah, I thought overall he looked really good. I think he was confident. I still think he's thinking a little bit too much about holding on to the ball. I don't know how much that's affecting him. But I thought he looked really great. I thought he looked awesome on that 17-yard run that he had, but it was a pretty bad holding call against, I think it was Powers. Yeah. And it was one of those where you're like, yeah, I don't know if he would have, broken off for the 17 yards, but I liked his decisiveness, and I love how he was really finishing the runs. Like I said, I think it's going to take a little bit more time for him to not think so much about not fumbling, but should be priority number 1 for him. Mm-hmm. But I liked what he was bringing. I was surprised how much we saw him, and I still want to see more, but I thought it was a really good thing overall. And yeah, it looks like Javonte had 1 carry and he had 2 catches.
Okay. Yeah, Javonte 1 carry for 1 yard. Jaleel McLaughlin 2 carries for 12 yards, 6-point average. Estimate 14 for 53, 3.8. But it just looked different, man, how he got this 3.8. I mean, the Chiefs got an elite defense, and he got so many of those yards after contact. And Jeremy, I know that you talk about that a lot with some of the running backs on our roster, that it's like they just go down when they first get contacted.
That was the thing, that it was such a breath of fresh air, because he runs hard. And you're right, Mark, he was definitely aware of 2 hands over the ball at all times, which I'm fine with. You need to I want you to do that the rest of the season. I remember Terrell Davis's first year. Terrell Davis said his rookie year, he was just I don't worry about making big plays, just don't make mistakes and get positive yards. And then by the second year, he was like, okay, make big plays, because he knew he could do it. He knew at that point, yep, okay, now I can do extra. Right now, with the way that his season started, I get the fact that he's holding the ball like that's. I mean, if he fumbles another one, it's going to be the same thing. He's going to be back in the doghouse. So I get it, but his vision was so much better, and the fact that like remember on that 3rd and 1 on that final drive, he ran through the back of McGlinchey to like get that first down and get like 6 tough
I don't know
yards.
how much he liked that.
Well, no, McGlinchey grabbed him right afterwards and was like, dude, do whatever you need to do, man. Like that was, we needed that run really bad. And it just showed you how much more I mean, we don't have, every week we talk about, we don't have playmakers. How much more explosive did our team look, our offense look when we had just a little bit of a run game? And man, Audric Estime just brought so much. It was nice to see a couple like gadget stuff with, with Mims too, just to keep things off balance. But if Audric Estime can just be that reliable guy who's getting 4 or 5 yards. Now the average went down at the end of the game too because we're running the clock out and you're telling him don't do anything, just bull ahead and get what you can, but don't try to get crazy with it because the last thing we need right now is to get the ball popped out, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. And they're aware that Estime has had fumble problems.
Yeah, he had the kneel downs too. Yeah.
Yeah, so like his 3.8 is a little skewed, but what he gave that offense just from a man, I remember watching the game. I was like, keep handing it off because 2nd and 6 is amazing compared to 2nd and 9 or 10. Like Javonte was just running into the back of people, horrible vision. Estime was finding the holes, and he was hard to bring down. He was always going to fall forward, and just that alone is so what we need right now. So hopefully we can just keep that up. But if he ends up being like a guy for the future, a 5th round pick, man, you got to love that. And I think they're still going to add to that room like in the offseason. I think that Sean Payton has his eyes on some rookie running backs.
Okay, because I wanted to talk about that because, I know it's still a little bit early and we'll have a much larger sample size, hopefully, as he continues to get the majority of the carries moving forward. Again, as long as he stays out of the doghouse. Do you guys see him as a starter, more of a complementary type of back? Do you think that Audric Estime allows you to prioritize other positions in the draft? I mean, you guys have brought this up, in the chat. We got a ton of salary cap. We got 7 draft picks right now. Where is right now running back on the priority list amongst the other positions?
That's a great question. Well, to answer the first part, man, I don't think I've seen enough yet to say that he's been, he's the guy and we don't have to worry about it. I do want to touch at some point. I want to touch on what you guys thought about Marvin Mims kind of being used in the Debo role a little bit. Something I've been talking about for a long time. I don't know if I brought it up in these live sessions with you guys, but I loved that. And I'd like to see more of him and a back in the backfield. I thought it was the perfect role for him. It's a great way to be able to like actually utilize him. So give me more of that. In terms of Estime, yeah, I mean, I want to see more. I thought he looked good in pass pro. From what we've seen, he was really limited in terms of like catching the ball in college, but he was extremely efficient. Like he caught everything when it was thrown to him.
Dude, that's
so
huge
I'd like
hands.
to see it. Yeah, I'd like to see him do more there. But as a priority list right now, I would say it's probably 3 or 4, depending on what happens at left tackle overall. But, backs are great because you don't have to use a 1st-round pick on them. You don't even have to really use a 1st or a 2nd-round pick. You can always find very, very, very good elite level backs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's high. I think it's really high, actually. Now, if Estime closes out this season looking great, it might go a lot further down. I think Javonte is not in the future plans for being like, a starter or any of that kind of thing. I think that's kind of, we've seen enough of that. I don't think, McLaughlin is like one of those like change of pace guys. He's not big enough to have the load. He's not big enough for pass pro. You need somebody with size and you need somebody to be able to catch it. That's a starting workhorse back. And Estime can do that. He just needs to prove it. But I would not be shocked because this isn't if we keep Bowles and wide receiver this draft is not nearly as good as it has been the last year for sure. If Ashton Genty's there, I could see Sean Payton getting some big eyes for him.
Yeah.
I honestly could. Like, that's a dynamic player that, I mean, I just think Bo is so dynamic on his own that if you can take a big load off of him and have the opposing defenses worry about the running game, that opens up so much. I felt like it opened up a lot in just this game right here, you know? So it kind of just depends on how we finish out the season. But if Estime finishes strong, you know, I would love to have a 1-2 punch of just like, man, now all of a sudden, because we have a good offensive line. I think our offensive line for the most part is good. And that, yeah, you're right. That hold on Powers was brutal. It's interesting that they could see that hold on an offense. That was really interesting because I was like, oh, I didn't think we were calling any holds today. I mean, it was just, but interesting. But, yeah, when it's crucial when we can take a go-ahead lead that's going to put it away, you guys see holds all of a sudden. But yeah, no, I think Estime is it's all in front of him, whatever he ends up doing. I think right now, the thing about it was, I was texting you guys at the end of the game when we got that 3rd and 6 and we got down inside the 20. I was like, just kneel it. Yeah. Don't even run Estime because, you know, I was worried something tragic was going to happen. It did, but I didn't think that was going to happen. But I was worried like, oh God, please don't fumble. But it says a lot. And this is what I like about Sean Payton is he gave it to Estime on those crucial carries and says, I have faith that you will not fumble. And I have faith that you will do your job. And he did. And those are like little moments that like you're not going to see on a stat sheet. You're not going to see anywhere else. But like going into next week, going into the future, Estime's got to feel really good about like my coach trusts me when I have to do it and I have to perform and I not to make a mistake and he did it. So in hindsight, I'm glad he ran him and I'm glad Estime did his job because I think that's going to pay the dividends.
We might have been better off with a fake field goal.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to see one too, looking back on it.
Couldn't have been worse.
You know what I was thinking though? And I was like, man, you know, like on the last play when we took the kneel down, we like went right and then we kneeled it and it was obvious what we were doing.
Yeah, that's good.
What if he like ran a fake out of that? If somebody just ran up, the defense had no idea that was coming. Just throw it over the top.
That's true. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously super risky.
But yeah, that screwed us because that made, and I'm sure, you know, Lutz likes it to kick, you know, right to left or whatever, but that made the angle having the ball has to travel to the left as opposed to the ball has to travel forward or to the right. And they knew where to put the pressure on Forsyth and Pert that it just played right into their hands of kicking the angle. Because if you look, if you've been on Twitter, you've seen a whole like highlight reel of Forsyth on his back, and all of those didn't result in blocks because the kick was either extra points and they were just going straight, and they were still getting the pressure, but the ball was going straight and they didn't have enough time.
Dude,
this time the ball was going straight into it.
I'm so annoyed. That makes me even more mad.
I know.
So what the hell?
I can help you. I can help you with that, but go ahead, finish your thought.
That was my thought.
Yeah. No, it's frustrating. So a couple things here. Firstly, I don't know if you guys saw Pat McAfee talking about it on the Pat McAfee show. And then they were talking, so I saw that one, and then they were talking about it on the morning show on 104.3 with Schlereth and all those guys. And really, Forsyth's role in like what the position that he plays and his role in the kick game is to fall backwards. Like that's kind of they say his role is to dive, but he needs to die slowly, if that makes sense.
Nice slow dive.
Because I guess the purpose of it is like he's supposed to eventually be on his ass. The person falls over him, the guys behind him will trip over, they won't be able to get leverage, and jump over that. So it's weird, But I guess that's kind of like a pretty common thing. The problem with this one is that the Chiefs just did a great job of exploiting it. And also, Forsyth, if you looked at it, both of his feet got caught up on his lineman. He actually tripped Pert too. And so I think that's what made him fall really fast. And then the penetration was just there. But it was and then looking back on it too, I don't know if you saw the special teams coach Kotwika. I was never know how to say his last name. But he was there, and him and Sean Payton were having a conversation, and it looked like they were concerned. And I was like, don't think nothing of it. But like looking back on it, maybe that was something that they talked about or they discussed, or I don't know. But
I took that as Sean. I thought that was Sean asking him, "Where do you want to kick it? We're good. You want it from the right hash?"
Well, even after they had, they were just sending everybody out, and it looked like they were chatting about something, and it was like.
And Kotwika, it was like his body language was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's fine."
They should have just taken a time. If they saw something was weird, they should have. Did they have it? I think they saw.
No, they didn't. They didn't have a timeout left because they took it before that.
Take the delay.
Okay, I got a question. With Will Lutz, can you guys tell me where he kicks his extra points from? I can't think of it offhand, but don't you get to place the ball in the middle or on the hash mark? Like, isn't it your choice?
It's in the middle.
I think you always kick it in the middle.
Yeah,
kick it in the middle. I know,
and it was the same exact distance as an extra point.
And my thing is, I'm sure they're asking him, "Hey, where do you prefer it from?"
Yeah.
He probably doesn't care, but he's gonna tell him, right hash if I have to choose. But it's just, man, I don't know. There's so many things.
Oh, dude,
I almost don't even want to talk to
like a Raheem Moore level heartbreak for me, man. With this game, I'm sorry.
People have said that, and I would just say, like, it's the 10th game of the season, and we still are like in playoff position. Like the Raheem Moore, I wanted to like jump off a bridge. I was so upset. That was like a touch. That was like
for 2 years. That was a Super Bowl. We won Super Bowl 50.
Yeah,
3 years.
That was like you guys might be too young, but like when Jacksonville beat us in 1996, I was like, John Elway cried after that game. I cried after that game. Like that was the one where I was like, I don't understand it, God. Like, why are you doing this to us like this? You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. And I was
first game that ever made me cry.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's just like you're literally looking to the heavens, like, why is this happening? I don't understand. And then back-to-back Super Bowls after that. And this was the point I made with Mark the other day was you have to learn how to win. And this, as much as it hurts, if you have the right stuff inside of you, and I believe that our leadership roles, Bo Nix, Sean Payton, those guys, I mean, Sean Payton's had to go through some games. Remember that freaking penalty that they didn't call
by the refs every game.
Oh my God, that's way worse in my opinion. That's way worse to lose on something that like is just blatantly like messed up.
And the Minnesota Miracle too.
Yeah, exactly. So like he understands it.
Yeah,
he understands it. But
we would have had Josh Allen if it wasn't for that stupid Minneapolis Miracle, man. Because then we went out and signed Case Keenum, dude. We would have had Josh Allen.
I think Elway was gun shy. Honestly, the Paxton Lynch thing, I don't think he was drafting a quarterback. But that being said, I don't think our fan base would have let Josh Allen be bad for 3 years. They would have ran him out of town the way this fan base is. Like, yes. I don't know what you're like. You're seeing absolute phenomenal football out of your rookie quarterback 10 games in against the number one team in the league, and people are still like, it's still too early to tell. And you're like, is it? How? What else do you want to see? You want him to walk on water? I don't understand at this point. Like, the guy has every trait. There's not one thing he's lacking. What the heck is your problem at this point? I don't get it. That's fine. People want, I mean, look, it's PTSD. We've been bad for a decade. I get it. Yeah, it's trauma. Hurt people, David. That's what it is. But like, here's the thing. These are the games that earn the like euphoria later, going through stuff like this, because the next time we're in a situation, hopefully it's in the playoffs, where the pressure's on and you have to make the play. Do you honestly think it's going to happen where Forsyth is not in the back of his mind? Like, nobody's coming through me. Nope. I mean, everybody's going to be on point. You cannot relax. Even the last chip shot field goal, you cannot relax. And sometimes, for whatever reason, the world works that way. It teaches you lessons you need to learn to get to where you need to go.
Yeah,
And I think that's what this is.
It's like that. What was it? 2019 with the Nuggets blowing that series lead to the Trailblazers, blowing that like 20-point lead in the Game 7 on Mother's Day, and that was what they needed to then have the run that they did in the bubble, and then you saw once they were healthy, man, the run that they went on. But yeah, you're right. This is a young team. This isn't going to break them, but it's going to form them and mold them into something greater. They'll know how to be ready for this moment next time, because they were 1 second away from winning this football game. If they could have just executed for one more second, they win this game. And it would be nice if we can hold on to one of these wild card spots. I would, because we don't have Super Bowl expectations this year.
No, not at all.
Give me the Chiefs. Give me the Chiefs. I want to see us take them on in the playoffs, man.
I think it'd be I agree. I think it would be a great learning experience for this team, right? I mean, you're talking about you play them twice already a year. Now you get to face them in the playoffs. Shit, you might get your ass kicked, but that you'll learn a lot from that for sure.
Yeah. The Chiefs are going to probably be the number 1 seed, so we're going to have to win a game in the playoffs before we see the Chiefs.
Give me that. Yeah.
Give me
Steelers.
Suck. I get Russ. Get me some karma there, and then give me the Chiefs. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like
I would say, give me the Steelers. I don't want to see the Ravens. I don't want the Bills or the Ravens, because those two teams are the teams that can beat the Chiefs. And I don't
right.
Like, even though it'd be cool to beat them, you're like, oh shit, you feel like.
I don't want to see the Ravens anymore this year. No way.
I don't want to see the Ravens ever again in my life. Like, that's how I feel about the Ravens. For some reason, I don't know what it is. We own them when they were Cleveland, and now when they go to Baltimore, like, we just have so much trouble with them. But Steelers, I'm not afraid of them. I don't know. I know they're playing well. Russ is still Russ. I don't care what anybody says. Like, he's playing better. He's playing better. I will give him that. And he's a good person. I'm not a Russ hater or anything like that. But like, where we're sitting right now with Bo Nix and the future that we have, I would pay $80 million to be where we're at right now than to have Russ right now.
I 100% agree.
So I want to get back to this, because probably the one guy that we haven't talked much about regarding this rookie class, Devon Vele, I'm feeling very good. Like, he's a hit. You should be when you're 26 years old or whatever, drafted. Like, he's looked like a pro out there with his route running. He's had fantastic hands. Love that. I think ideally he can slot in as like a number 3, number 4 weapon for us. But kind of looking forward, like, how do you want the Broncos to fill out the rest of this wide receiver tight end room? I know that this is pretty early. We've talked about Ashton Genty going after and getting another running back, but do you like, is tight end something that we should consider in the first round? Like, should we bank on drafting a first round wide receiver or filling that through free agency? What do you like? Is a number 1 wide receiver more of a need than a top tight end? Like, how would you guys approach those sorts of questions?
Go ahead, Jimmy.
To me, like, don't reach in the draft. Let the board fall to you. The Raiders, they got their tight end because Brock Bowers, because he fell, and I'm sure they would rather have Bo Nix right now than Brock Bowers. If I was them, I would. But you just don't know. You just don't. You don't want to ever go into a draft being like, we have to get a wide receiver in the first round. Like, it just depends, and we have enough needs that you just let the board fall and you trust it. That's why you do all that stuff. I could see us going any of those routes, honestly. I honestly could. If you don't have a dynamic tight end or receiver that you love in that position, you can trade back, or you can pull the trigger earlier than you thought on a running back. There might be, like you said, there might be a lineman that we need to really consider. I mean, whether or not you keep Bowles, he is getting older. Ideally, you would want to get his replacement a year before you need to. So that's just, it just depends on, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like, it's probably going to be an offensive player. Our defense is pretty solid right now, but you just got to let, the board will tell you where you need to go.
Mm-hmm. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, obviously we're desperate need of a tight end, but based off of what Sean Payton asks from his tight ends, I just don't see a situation where a rookie can come in and make a big difference. He's just so adamant about the blocking. Because if it was just receiving, I think Dulcich would have gotten more of a chance. I think we're probably going to address that position in the draft at some point for sure. I think Juwan Johnson, he's going to be a free agent after this season. I think he's almost I wouldn't say he's a lock, but he's definitely going to be somebody.
Ain't going back to New Orleans with that cap situation.
He's not, and he'll be a free agent. And why wouldn't he be interested in coming back to play for a coach in an offense that he's familiar with, knowing that he's going to be like the guy in that room? So I can see that happening, but it's tough to project out what we're going to do. But in terms of wide receiver, absolutely, I think we need to revamp a lot of it. I think we need to get a lot of weapons there, and some of them we can do in might be able to do in free agency, but others, absolutely in the draft for sure. And I love the idea of like a young nucleus of really good players developing together, right? I'm hoping, like, in an ideal world, Troy Franklin and Vele would be really good players, and then you can add another couple young guys, and they can all just like build and work and form together. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but we need to get Bo some guys that can, that can make plays for him.
Yeah, I would like to see us re-sign Bowles because, it just allows us to pursue all the weapons with our top picks and have that sort of growth and continuity like you're talking about, Mark. I think you could also, I'm sure we'll move up and down the draft a little bit with the 6 picks or the 7 picks that we have. But yeah, you then could draft a tackle in the 3rd or 4th round and develop him. We'll see what happens with Frank Crum down the line. I just hate the idea that's been talked about Mike McGlinchey moving to left tackle when he hasn't done it in the NFL. That terrifies me, and I hope that's not like a serious plan. I think one of the reasons Bo has had improvement is because he's had the ability to learn how to trust a good offensive line. He's gotten good pass protection. He's not getting hit every play. And yeah, just sign Bowles to that extension. I think you can get another contract out of him of good play and develop behind him with not the premium picks. And Zach Strief has shown that he can coach guys up. Now, I also wonder, do we go and spend a high draft pick on a center? But I'm still bullish on Wattenberg, and I do think Alex Forsythe. I think he just needs another year to probably strengthen up. But that's kind of the 1 weak area on the line.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, Alex Polcheski. I know he doesn't project to be a left tackle, but good Lord, did he look good when he played. And then Frank Crum was mentioned too. I just think he's so raw, but I feel like he's probably the future left tackle in waiting if I had to choose